What Putin and China just did over the past few days could land a crushing blow to the United States dollar. And even without this news, we've got separate data that just came in showing a major crack for the US dollar and the US economy. You need to protect your family and your family's wealth right now because it's about to get a whole lot worse out there. So we'll get to all of that in a minute. But first, now more than ever, there are a lot of questions about the stability and the future of the US dollar. Will the US dollar crash? Will it collapse quickly? Or will it die a slow death like frogs, in a pot of boiling water? They don't know that it's getting hot until it's too late. The dollar has held its power in global trade for decades, since World War II. It's been the world's principal reserve currency. So what does that mean exactly? Well, a reserve currency is held and used by institutions and central banks around the world for international transactions to settle all sorts of transactions. Major commodities like gold, lumber, oil, all priced in dollars. And the Bretton Woods Agreement made it clear after World War II that the Western world would use the dollar to settle transactions as long as the United States military was there to provide safe passage and trade. Use our dollars and we'll bring our guns and protect you. But all of that is collapsing in real time right now. The United States can no longer guarantee safety in the oceans. War breaking out in the Middle East.
Explosions lit up Israel's night sky as interceptors took down dozens upon dozens of Iranian-launched drones.
You have the Houthi rebels using drones can literally take out massive ships and cargo ships in the Middle East, the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea. That's right, the Straits of Hormuz, the Red Sea, the United States Navy cannot protect them. Global trade runs on the United States dollar. It's long been an important cornerstone in the global economy due to its ease of conversion and value. But over the past several decades, the inherent value of the US dollar has been on the decline. In 1971, the US dollar's departure from the gold standard led to a major devaluation of the currency. And this was just the first time the US dollar had declined. This week, Russia and China signed a major trade agreement that got almost no coverage. They signed documents solidifying a trade partnership backed by security guarantees. Hilariously, they signed this agreement the very same moment while U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen was in town, in Beijing. If that's not the biggest middle finger I've ever seen, then I don't know what is. Like, oh, you're here from the United States? You hang out in this room, and you talk to some underlings. Meanwhile, the president of China is going to be meeting with Sergei Lavrov from Russia, and they're going to be ironing out a massive trade agreement and a security guarantee. You just have some biscuits, and you sit in this other room. That's a huge middle finger. And more countries are starting to seek autonomy and diversification away from the US dollar. China and Russia leading the BRICS nations into a new currency agreement that's backed by gold and commodities and not the US dollar. They're sitting on mountains of precious minerals and oil and gold, and not the US dollar. Not to mention, in recent history, China has become an economic powerhouse, and sanctions enforced after the invasion of Ukraine have encouraged even more and more countries right now and companies to turn towards other currencies to settle their transactions. Putin announced an intent to create an international currency standard, and even France has been leaning less and less on the United States dollar. These are just a few examples. There's many more that are leaning towards the BRICS nations right now. So when asked about these global issues and their impact on the US dollar as a world currency, here's what Janet Yellen, the US Treasury Secretary, had to say about it. She said, quote, "We should expect over time a gradually increased share of other assets in reserve holdings of countries." What is she talking about? Oh, she's talking about gold. Yes, because all of these countries right now are buying up as much gold as they can get their hands on. China, record-breaking amounts of gold. That's why gold prices are surging right now as central banks are buying it up. They're dumping the US dollar. Gold surging to its all-time high this past week. And new price targets have it hitting over $3,000, even $4,000 by UBS Bank, Bank of America, $3,000.
And inflation is going to keep going up. That's why gold is rising. It's a signal that the monetary policy is wrong. That Powell's rate cut could go down as the biggest mistake the Fed has ever made. And they've made a lot of mistakes, so that's saying a lot.
The Federal Reserve itself lists some challenges that the dollar is facing. And let's read it right from their source. This is right from the Federal Reserve. Sanctions imposed by the United States and its allies on Russia following the invasion of Ukraine may make the dollar less attractive as a reserve currency as political adversaries fear exposure to U.S. sanctions. when relying on the US dollar as a reserve currency. Even talk about the euro. The euro could become more attractive as a reserve currency in the future. This integration could potentially be accelerated by the enhancements to the EU's sovereign debt market and infrastructure and introducing the digital euro. Another quote from the Federal Reserve, another source of challenges the US dollar's dominance could face is the continued rapid growth of China, which is by far the world's largest exporter. Yeah, there you go. So again, the United States is in trouble. In other words, oh crap.
Which all that's telling you is that the underlying currency of the country or the world, in the case of the US dollar, is simply collapsing.
Despite these glaring issues, American politicians like to affirm that the dollar's position as a global currency is strong, it's not going anywhere. But clearly, there's been a slow burn happening behind the scenes for decades, and President Biden's failures on Ukraine and the Middle East are destroying it bit by bit by bit, as other countries are trying to establish independence and chip away at the dollar's role as the most prevalent reserve currency in the world. Now, some may argue that the biggest threat to the future of the United States dollar is the U.S. government itself. National debt continues to climb at astronomical rates. Mixing high debt with high inflation could very quickly result in a crisis for the U.S. dollar. And now this week, new data showing that the interest alone on our debt will hit $1.6 trillion by the end of this year. That's just the interest payments on our $34 trillion debt. There is simply no way we will be able to pay this back.
They're going to do that to save the system at the expense of the dollar. We're screwed either way. We're trapped. It's a debt spiral.
So regardless of what ultimately happens with the US dollar, now is the time to think about how you can protect yourself as an investor, with your family. We are in an environment with high inflation, tons of economic volatility. We could see skyrocketing gas prices in the coming days, depending on how this Middle East crisis unfolds. Americans are losing their jobs left and right, while debt on both personal and national level right now is out of control. Now, luckily, I have tons of free resources for you right here on this channel: how to protect yourself, how to build multiple income streams, how to preserve your wealth, whether it's investing in real estate or buying precious metals. It's time to take action. Please don't say I didn't warn you about the US dollar. So that's the news update part of today's video. Now I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which stands to gain and is off to the races right now in this breakout moment that we're seeing right now for gold prices. I'm telling you, in my entire life, I've never been as confident as I am today on the gold sector right now. If you're not bullish on gold after what I'm going to show you, then I can't help you. UBS Bank just said that they believe gold could double to $4,000 an ounce. That's on top of Bank of America saying $3,000 an ounce. I believe both of those are actually conservative in my estimation. So the gold mining company that I want to tell you about is called Great Pacific Gold Corp. Here's their ticker on your screen. Take a look at this right now. Now, we have an opportunity here with this one that is, in my mind, generational in scope. This only happens during major gold breakouts like we're seeing right now. So let me give you some context here. I think this is really important. Newmont Mining sent its CEO to Papua New Guinea. Now, like what? Wait, hold on. What? Why? Well, you have to ask yourself, what is the world's most important gold executive doing in Papua New Guinea right now at the birth of this biggest gold market that we've seen since 2001? Like, why did he fly there? Well, the success of the company K92 Mining went from a small microcap company to achieving a market cap of $2 billion, has put a positive light on Papua New Guinea. Now, the management and the board of Great Pacific Gold Corp, the company I'm telling you about today, is comprised of many of the top people that are involved in making K92 Mining a huge success, including the former president, the co-founder. In contrast to K92 Mining, which is a mature, well-developed, and fast-growing producer, valued at $1.5 billion, Great Pacific Gold, the company I'm telling you about today, is now just starting to unlock its potential. Much, much, much smaller. So the hope is that one day it could exhibit massive growth like its predecessor. Now, the market cap is just shy of $100 million, which is 93% smaller than K92. If you know anything about the gold market, you know what a big deal K92 is. Now, Newmont Mining, they have a $45 billion market cap. They recently made a multi-billion-dollar bet on Papua New Guinea. Now, you see how this is all coming together? All of these big mining companies are aware of how promising Papua New Guinea is. So, both the world's largest gold mining company, Newmont, and the second largest gold mining company, Barrick, are operating in Papua New Guinea right now. Now, Tom Palmer, Newmont's CEO, called Papua New Guinea Resource and Energy Investment Conference that took place in Sydney, Australia in December. He said it was among the best he's ever attended. Now, in August 2023, in a Newmont press release, Palmer noted how important Papua New Guinea was globally for them. Again, this is the $45 billion company, describing the fact that they would establish Papua New Guinea as only its standalone region, the fifth in their entire portfolio. So it's going to have its own standalone region just for Newmont. That's huge, right? So just so you understand this, don't remain indifferent to these very strong words from these guys. If Pacific Gold can exhibit promised drilling results, which is what they're doing right now, they are actively drilling as we speak, on top of the drilling results that they've been releasing, the presence of the two world's largest companies is a potential key to an exit strategy. You see what I'm saying here? This is Newmont CEO shaking hands with the Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, which shows you how mining friendly the environment is. Just to give you some perspective, right? There's the Prime Minister shaking hands with the president of Newmont Mining, who's there drilling for gold. Can you imagine that happening in the United States? On Friday, this past Friday, President Biden just increased the amount of money he's going to fine people for drilling for oil in the United States. He's going to fine them an additional amount, huge amount, actually. It's ridiculous. Can you see the tale of two different countries right now and companies? If you want to understand the upside potential for Great Pacific Gold, just look at what some of these team members have achieved with K92 mining in literally the same jurisdiction in Papua New Guinea. K92 is the winner of the industry's most important exploration award for the best global discovery. 3 of the GPAC team members were on the G92 team that when the discovery in Cora North was made, John Lewins, Brian Solarczyk, and Chris Muller were all there. Brian Solarczyk is, of course, the CEO of Great Pacific Gold. He's the co-founder and former president and director of K92 Mining. It's already built wealth for gold investors during the bear market. Imagine what they can do in a bull market. We are in a bull market right now for gold. They built that company during a bear market. Guys, this is the real deal. If you don't find all of this bullish about Great Pacific Gold Corp, then I think a good exercise for you, honestly, is to literally call the company, call up Great Pacific, and ask to speak with Brian Solarczyk, the CEO, so he can actually explain the story to you one-on-one. Obviously, the CEO of Newmont understands Papua New Guinea and its potential, and Solarczyk also knows as well as anybody, helping start what has become a $2 billion business there in a few short years. And now we get to ride his coattails as he builds his next new company, Great Pacific Gold Corp. I plead with you, don't be numb to this. Go out and do your own homework on it. I think you're going to see the big picture here. Here is the stock ticker again on your screen. Here is what the share price is trading at right now as of this recording. And do your own homework on this one, guys. I think we are in for a gold explosion, in my opinion. And I am there for it. I've been waiting for this moment for many, many years. So I'm very excited about this. And we'll see you next time, everyone.